The human heart is a complex enigma, a labyrinth of emotions and unspoken desires. Have you ever found yourself in a relationship where everything seemed to align, captivating conversations, undeniable attraction, even shared dreams, only for him to suddenly withdraw emotionally? Or perhaps he remained, but his presence felt hollow, leaving you to ponder what truly ignites profound love in a man beyond fleeting desire or mundane routine. Stay here to discover what truly drives these men. And if you value freedom, go ahead and hit that like button. Then join us by subscribing and hitting the bell so you don't miss any new videos. For centuries, countless women have grappled with this very question. Many believe that love blossoms from relentless effort, from constant care, from an unwavering display of interest and devotion. And while these elements certainly play a role in nurturing a relationship, what often goes unrecognized? And this is where a profound psychological insight emerges, is that the genesis of deep love lies not on the surface of conscious interaction, but in the depths of the unconscious mind. The true catalyst for a man's profound affection often remains invisible to the naked eye. It's not necessarily found in your actions or your words, but in a silent, potent energy you radiate when you cease striving to please and simply exist. Paradoxically, the more you release the need to be chosen, the more indelibly etched you become in his memory. This isn't some mystical force. It's a profound psychological phenomenon, a dance of inner worlds that defies conventional understanding. When a man truly falls, it's not always for the person you consciously present to the world. It's for what you unknowingly awaken within his inner landscape. This isn't a conscious decision on his part. He might never articulate it, but there was a pivotal moment when he perceived in you something far beyond just a woman. He saw a symbol, an essence, an energy that simultaneously challenged him and drew him in with an irresistible pull. Perhaps you've experienced this uncanny sense of being unforgettable to someone, without ever having done anything extraordinary to achieve it. Or maybe someone from your distant past re-entered your life, seemingly without any logical reason. In such instances, it's possible that it wasn't merely your physical presence he couldn't release, but rather the profound inner shift you instigated within him. The great paradox of this profound attraction is that men don't fall in love with what they can readily comprehend. Instead, they are captivated by what they cannot fully grasp, by what defies their control, by what fundamentally shakes the very foundations of their inner world. When a woman chooses to live authentically, when she refuses to compromise her true self out of a fear of losing him, a powerful, energetic shift occurs. Her very presence becomes an undeniable magnet, drawing him in even when she makes no conscious effort to attract. However, many women, instead of embracing this liberating authenticity, mistakenly lose themselves in a futile attempt to conform, to become what they believe he desires. It is at this precise moment that the initial spark, that enigmatic allure, begins to wane, not because the potential for love has vanished, but because the very mystery that ignited it has dissipated. When a woman unconsciously embodies an archetypal figure that a man has yet to integrate within himself, she transforms into a profound mirror. And no one can ever truly forget the mirror that, for the very first time, revealed a glimpse of their own soul. This isn't mere coincidence. It's a profound psychological destiny unfolding. A man may encounter countless women throughout his lifetime. Some will bring laughter into his days, others will offer solace during challenging times, and some may even share years of their lives with him. Yet, there is often one, and only one, who remains quietly resonating within his deepest being. This woman is rarely the most outwardly beautiful or the most superficially perfect. She is almost always the one who never exerted any effort to be anything other than herself. She appeared with an intriguing blend of calm and unwavering certainty, a woman who sought no external validation. Instead of striving to please him, she unapologetically chose herself, free from any guilt or apprehension. This woman, often without even realizing it, transcends the personal and becomes a symbolic figure in his psyche, a living manifestation of his animether, feminine aspect of his unconscious that yearns for integration. And when she enters his life, something profound stirs within him, a deep, ancient resonance that cannot be ignored. However, here lies the most intriguing aspect of this dynamic. Many women remain entirely unaware when they are playing this pivotal role. They fail to perceive the profound impact they are having because they are not engaging in anything outwardly extraordinary. They are simply being. They are vibrating with an authentic frequency, deeply connected to their inherent essence. And this profound authenticity is profoundly disruptive for a man who has only experienced emotional connections that were superficial or rigidly based on external expectations. In that transformative moment, he doesn't fall in love with her words or her physical form. He falls irrevocably in love with what she reflects back to him, a previously unexplored part of himself that has suddenly begun to stir. Of course, this profound realization can be deeply unsettling, even frightening, for him. This is because true, deep love is anything but comfortable. It is, by its very nature, transformative. It compels one to embark on a journey of intense introspection, forcing a confrontation with hidden aspects of the self. This is precisely why some men instinctively pull away just when they begin to experience something genuinely real, not because they lack genuine care, but because a primal, deeply ingrained part of them instinctively realizes that this woman is unlike any other, and if they choose to remain, they will be irrevocably compelled to change, to surrender, to open themselves to a dormant part of their soul that has long been quiescent. Often, they are simply not ready for such a profound awakening because the inner image she activates is too intense, too vibrantly alive for them to control or neatly categorize. Consequently, they flee, but they are not running from her. They are running from the overwhelming intensity of what they are feeling within themselves. This is why it is of paramount importance that you, as a woman, do not interpret such a withdrawal as a personal rejection. If you have ever walked away from someone and found yourself perplexed by the profound depth of pain their absence caused, perhaps it was not simply unrequited love. Perhaps, in that moment, you were the mirror he was utterly incapable of holding up to himself. When a woman ceases her frantic search for love and instead begins to fully inhabit her own being, a profound shift occurs in her energetic field. This isn't about arrogance or indifference. It's a silent, unwavering strength that communicates, without uttering a single word, "I belong to myself." And this profound declaration to the masculine unconscious is simultaneously a powerful invitation and a deeply disorienting force. What we refuse to integrate within ourselves, we inevitably seek outside of ourselves. Thus, when a man encounters a woman who embodies qualities he has yet to cultivate: emotional freedom, intuitive depth, an authentic presence, something within him awakens. And this awakening is not always immediately pleasant. Often, the very first sensation he experiences is not one of attraction, but of profound discomfort. Why? Because she reflects back an emptiness, an inner void he has meticulously avoided for years, perhaps even for his entire life. He may have spent his existence pursuing relationships where he could assume the role of protector, the strong one, the one in control. But now, confronted with a woman who neither requires rescuing nor idolizes him, a woman who is not desperate for his attention, he feels utterly disarmed. And it is frequently at this juncture that an almost obsessive preoccupation begins, not with her as a person, but with the desperate need to reclaim the illusion of control that her very presence has shattered. He doesn't consciously realize it, but what he is relentlessly pursuing is not her. It is the repair of his fragmented inner identity. This profound dynamic explains why some men, after losing such a woman, find themselves utterly unable to fully let her go. Months, even years, can pass, and they continue to carry her memory like an indelible scar. It's not that they haven't moved on from her in the conventional sense. It's that she represents a definitive before and after in the landscape of their emotional lives. The pervasive problem, however, is that many men are ill-equipped to contend with such an internal void. They have not cultivated the capacity for introspection, nor have they learned to take personal responsibility for their emotional wounds. Consequently, they seek solace externally in other women, in an increased workload, in various forms of distraction. Yet nothing genuinely fills the expansive space she left behind, because what departed was not merely a person. It was a profound possibility for transformative growth. And here lies the crucial insight that most people overlook. That woman is not unforgettable because she was perfect. She is unforgettable precisely because she was authentic, because she possessed the profound courage to depart when she realized that remaining would necessitate a betrayal of her own self, because she did not resort to emotional outbursts or desperate pleas. She simply closed the door with quiet dignity, and that rare, brave gesture imprints itself upon the masculine soul like an indelible lesson, a profound truth that is never truly forgotten. The unconscious mind makes no distinction between what is objectively real and what is symbolically represented. This, according to Carl Jung, was one of the most potent truths concerning the human psyche. Consequently, when a woman undergoes this profound transformation into a symbol within a man's mind, she transcends being merely a person. She becomes an idea, an echoing presence, a transformative mirror. And no one can ever erase the memory of the mirror that compelled them to confront their own authentic selves. After her departure, many men mistakenly believe that what they miss is her physical presence. However, in profound reality, what inflicts the deepest pain is the profound disconnection from the complex emotional landscape she awakened within them, that intricate blend of admiration, confusion, and an inexplicable desire that defied all logical explanation. This is because when a bond touches the soul, no rational closure, no matter how meticulously constructed, can ever be truly sufficient. In her absence, the masculine unconscious begins to operate with an almost terrifying intensity. It meticulously rereads past conversations, vividly recalls every subtle gesture, and idealizes specific moments. Yet, none of these mental exercises succeed in recapturing the original feeling because he is not genuinely searching for her. He is desperately attempting to return to that profound inner place he could only access through her. And this realization, at its core, is both exquisitely beautiful and deeply tragic. The more he strives to relive her in memory, the further he drifts from the genuine opportunity for profound integration, the chance to look deeply within himself and pose the crucial questions. What aspects of my being were truly activated by her presence? What profound emptiness was laid bare when she departed? The woman who refuses to engage in competition, who refrains from begging, who makes no desperate attempts to cling, embodies something profoundly revolutionary within a man's consciousness. She does not represent conventional romance or the pleasing, agreeable figure. Instead, she embodies the very essence of freedom. And this, although it undoubtedly causes him pain, simultaneously fascinates him beyond measure, because at the deepest level, we all yearn for freedom. Yet remarkably few are willing to love from a place of such liberation. Through this often process, a man embarks, unknowingly, upon his journey toward individuation. This is the profound path where we cease our outward search for what can only be discovered and cultivated within. And frequently, that transformative journey does not commence with a sudden epiphany, but rather with a profound loss. Sometimes, all it takes is a silent glance, a departure free from blame, a door closed with quiet serenity, to cause a man's entire inner world to profoundly collapse. And within that collapse, he discovers not merely sorrow, but a profound opportunity. For where absolute nothingness remains, something entirely new can, at last, be courageously built. And perhaps this is precisely what leaves the most indelible mark, that she did not attempt to remain by force, did not fiercely resist her own departure, but instead understood a fundamental truth that what is genuinely real requires no coercion, and that the most profound love is never, ever begged for. It is, instead, deeply honored. If you're enjoying this perspective and feel that this message resonates with you, subscribe to the channel and enable notifications so you don't miss any content that will further empower you. If you feel a growing restlessness, a need to break free from old expectations and build a life guided by your own truth, know that this quest is not in vain. It's your authentic self preparing for the freedom and fulfillment that await you. There are powerful principles and practices that can illuminate this path of autonomy and self-affirmation, empowering you to live with an unshakable clarity and peace. In the pinned comment, we have made available resources that were carefully crafted for souls like yours, ready to live their most powerful personal revolution in the profound solitude that often follows the departure of a truly conscious woman. A silent, yet profound, transformation begins to unfold within him. Initially, he may cling to the belief that he can overcome this loss, as he has always done, through distraction, through replacement, through outright denial. But this time, something is fundamentally different. Nothing external seems to fill the void. Nothing brings true solace, because this was not merely another loss. It was an internal rupture, a deep schism within his very being. Moments when life, without seeking permission, compels us to confront what we have diligently avoided. For many men, that woman who departed quietly, devoid of drama or elaborate explanations, becomes precisely one of those pivotal turning points. Not because she harbored any desire to inflict pain upon him, but because through her very absence, she unveiled a truth that no one else had dared to show him. Suddenly, he begins to pose questions he had never before contemplated. Why did I feel such an intense need for her? Why did her departure cause such profound pain, even if our time together was brief? What part of myself was I desperately seeking? In her? And there, amidst that vast ocean of unsettling questions, the meticulously constructed image he held of himself begins to crumble. He is no longer the man who effortlessly controls every situation, no longer the one who remains immune to the pangs of love, no longer the one who perpetually dictates the emotional dynamic. Now he is a vulnerable human being, deeply touched by a connection more profound than any he had experienced before, connection that has irrevocably altered him, And though it bewilders him, it also stirs something profound within his core. What that woman represented through her quiet dignity, her inherent autonomy, her loving yet emotionally unattached authenticity, was precisely something he had yet to discover within himself. She did not enter his life to offer him superficial stability. She came to reveal to him the profound instability that resided within his own inner world. And that revelation, as exquisitely painful as it may be, marks the true genesis of his awakening. Many men, upon reaching this critical juncture, instinctively resist. They yearn to revert to the way things were, to forget, to suppress, to bury the unsettling feelings. But the soul, unlike the conscious mind, does not operate in such a manner. Once it has been profoundly touched, there is no genuine turning back. And so, amidst that pervasive discomfort, some courageous individuals choose to embark on a different path, to pause, to breathe, to look deeply within. They begin to engage in introspection, to read, to reflect, to ask themselves searching questions about their childhood, their past relationships, and the repetitive patterns they have unconsciously replicated. They begin to critically examine their innate need for external validation, their deep-seated fear of abandonment, and their persistent difficulty in loving without attempting to control. And little by little, a profound understanding begins to dawn upon them. It was not her who was the problem. It was the distorted image they had projected onto her, a reflection of their own internal landscape. This moment is absolutely crucial, for it is here that the possibility of profound integration is born. The liberating realization that one no longer needs to seek externally what can only be authentically built within. And over time, the deep wound begins to heal, not through denial, but through acceptance, through the profound humility of recognizing that genuine love is infinitely more expansive and profound than mere possession. As time gently passes, a subtle yet profound shift begins to unfold within him. It's not a tumultuous external event, but a quiet, internal awakening, as if a new way of seeing the world has begun to stir within his very being. He no longer frantically searches for that woman in every new face he encounters. He no longer relentlessly chases her image in the labyrinth of his memories. Instead, he now begins to grasp the profound truth of what truly transpired. The process of individuation commences when we relinquish our identification with the masks we wear, and this is precisely what has occurred within him. He no longer perceives himself solely as the conqueror, the one perpetually in control. He has begun to acknowledge his vulnerabilities, his cracks, and instead of instilling fear, these very imperfections are gradually becoming the most authentically human aspects of his being. The woman who departed with quiet grace, who made no demands, who orchestrated no dramatic scenes, now appears in his mind in a profoundly different light. She is no longer merely the unattainable figure. She is now the woman who, without any conscious intention, revealed to him the invaluable worth of his own inner world. The focus is no longer on winning her back. It is on comprehending the profound awakening she catalyzed within him. And what she awakened was not mere desire. It was a profound sense of presence, a heightened awareness, an undeniable invitation to return to himself. For what truly captivated him was not her silence in isolation, but what that profound silence reflected: a woman who required no external validation to feel complete, a woman who was unwilling to remain at the cost of her own inner peace. In a culture that often teaches men that to love is to possess, that to bond is to dominate, this unique feminine figure, who loves from an inherent place of freedom, represents an internal revolution of monumental proportions. She cannot be manipulated. She cannot be clung to. She can only be profoundly honored. And at the deepest level, it is this realization that transforms him. He subsequently begins to treat himself with a newfound reverence, to listen more intently to his inner voice, to cease seeking love as if it were a desperate salvation. The focus shifts from finding someone to choose him despite his emptiness, to becoming someone who chooses himself with unflinching honesty, and from that foundation cultivates genuinely authentic connections. In that transformative moment, her image softens. It no longer inflicts the searing pain it once did. Now she is a luminous memory, almost sacred in its significance, for she was the one who, without meaning to, ignited his soul not to remain tethered to her, but to illuminate his path forward. There comes a pivotal moment when the intense grip of obsession begins to recede, giving way to something far more profound. Understanding, it is no longer simply the desperate need to have her close. It is the profound recognition that she was, unknowingly, a significant turning point, the indelible mark of a before and after in his life. This transformation was not born of what she said, but rather by the sheer essence of her existence, and the dignified manner in which she departed. What profoundly moves us remains deeply embedded within us as a symbol, and a symbol, unlike a fleeting emotion, does not fade. It does not require continuous physical presence to continue exerting its powerful influence upon us. This is precisely what occurs with her. She is no longer physically present, yet her energy remains vibrantly alive, akin to a melody that continues to resonate long after the music has ceased. He begins to perceive with newfound clarity. He starts to understand that for a considerable period, he pursued relationships where he could feel validated, important, and indispensable. But with her, the dynamic was profoundly different. With her, there was no palpable need, no struggle for validation. There was simply profound choice, and this disarmed him because no one had ever taught him to love from such a place of inherent freedom. No one had ever demonstrated that he could embrace vulnerability without relinquishing his dignity, that he didn't need to be needed to be profoundly loved. She conveyed this not through spoken words, but through the sheer power of her presence, and equally through the profound impact of her absence. And it is at this crucial juncture that true transformation begins to unfold. He no longer seeks out women to fill an internal void. He no longer attempts to remedy his feelings with new stories or superficial connections. He now grasps the fundamental truth that love is not something to be demanded or earned. It is something to be generously shared from a place of inner peace, not from a place of profound lack. The most exquisite aspect of this unfolding is that, in this moment, she no longer needs to perform any action. She does not need to return or explain herself, or prove anything whatsoever. Her profound role has already been fulfilled. She was a catalyst, a guiding lighthouse, a transformative mirror. Her potent energy accomplished precisely what it needed to do. It awakened him. In this nascent chapter of his life, he no longer flees from himself. He now understands that everything he once desperately sought in her, that profound calm, that captivating depth, that exhilarating freedom, he possesses the capacity to cultivate within himself. Perhaps not instantly, perhaps not without sustained effort, but with every conscious choice he makes, he moves incrementally closer to his authentic truth. And a curious phenomenon is that he no longer needs to find her reflected in someone else, because now, when he recalls her presence in his life, he does so not with a pang of nostalgia, but with a profound sense of gratitude. For it was she who, without ever knowing it, showed him that true love is not about remaining. It is about leaving an indelible mark. And so, in a place where an emptiness once resided, there is now a profound understanding. The old pain no longer lingers. The anxiety stemming from unanswered questions has dissipated. There is a newfound way of perceiving life, calmer, more honest, more awake. Because once a man courageously crosses the threshold into his own being, he can never truly love in the same way again. The man who once desperately needed to be chosen to feel worthy now grasps the fundamental truth that his intrinsic value is not predicated upon being desired. It resides in being profoundly authentic. He no longer seeks from a place of profound lack. He loves from a place of inherent wholeness. The image of her, that woman who never begged, who refused to remain, where she was not genuinely seen, is no longer a wound. She is a profound compass. Her memory, which once burned with painful intensity, now radiates with a luminous glow, almost sacred because she was not a loss. She was a profound message, a transformative lesson encapsulated first in her powerful presence and then in her dignified absence. And what initially seemed like a painful goodbye was, in profound truth, the very beginning of everything. That love, which did not culminate in fleeting promises or intricate explanations, created space for something even grander, a transformation not merely of a relationship, but of the very soul. For when someone touches your essence, it becomes inconsequential whether they choose to remain or to depart. What truly matters is the profound awakening they ignite within you. I invite you to share in the comments what this video stirred within you. Maybe you lived a similar story. Maybe you're the woman who knew how to let go in time. Maybe you're the man who began to awaken. Whatever your experience, your voice could be the mirror someone else needs today. Share this video with someone who is ready to love from a different place. Like it, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Not out of impulse, but out of choice. Because when something touches the soul, the least we can do is let it keep resonating within us and through us.